Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be diving into something a little different.
Oh,
The Shawshank Redemption.
okay.
I'm sure you've probably seen it, maybe even loved it.
Right.
We're going way beyond like the typical, is it a good movie or bad movie
Yeah.
kind of review.
Gotcha.
We're using this really great film analysis that somebody sent in
Mhm.
to kind of look at why this movie that flopped when it first came out
Wow.
still resonates with so many people.
It's interesting, isn't it? You think a movie about prison wouldn't be like a big hit,
Right.
But there's just something about this movie
Yeah.
that really captures people, and that's what we're going to be looking at today.
It's not just a prison break story either.
Yeah.
This analysis points to all these universal themes, hope, perseverance, the human spirit in enduring all this pressure.
Yeah.
But how does the film actually show us these things?
Well, think about the contrast, right away in the film.
Okay.
We're thrown into this brutal prison world,
Right.
Very dehumanizing.
Yeah.
And yet, here's Andy Dufresne just holding on to hope.
Yeah.
Like, it's the only thing he has left.
He seems almost too good to be true sometimes.
Right.
It's like, how does he stay so positive in that place?
Exactly.
Maybe that's part of what's so interesting about it.
Yeah.
The analysis also talks about symbolism,
Oh, yeah.
which I think always adds a whole other level to a film.
Absolutely. Symbolism in Shawshank is so smart.
Yeah.
Like, take the rock hammer that Andy uses to dig his escape tunnel.
Right.
It's not just a tool, it represents that slow process of chipping away at these obstacles that seem impossible to overcome.
Right.
Every swing of that hammer shows how patient and determined he is.
It's like that quote from the movie, geology is the study of pressure and time.
Yes.
That's all it takes for the pressure and time.
Exactly.
And then there's the Rita Hayworth poster.
Oh, yeah.
On the one hand, it's just a pinup,
Yeah, a little
a
escapism
little bit of
in
escapism,
this grim world.
but it's also hiding the tunnel for years.
It is. It becomes the symbol of hope, disguised as something so normal that the guards wouldn't even think about it.
Right.
It reminds us that hope can exist in the darkest places, hidden right in front of us.
And speaking of hope in dark places, there's that amazing scene with the Mozart opera.
Yes. The marriage of Figaro.
Yeah.
That scene is so powerful. The contrast is amazing. You have this beautiful music filling the prison yard.
Right.
A moment of pure beauty in the middle of all that brutality.
Yeah.
And it's not just beautiful, it's an act of defiance, too. It's Andy saying, you might have locked me up, but you can't lock up my spirit.
And the look on the other prisoners' faces.
I know.
It's like they're transported somewhere else for a few minutes.
Right.
Reminded that there's still beauty out there.
Yeah.
The analysis talks about it being this symbol of the enduring power of art and the human spirit.
It's a powerful moment.
Okay, so we've got these big ideas.
Yeah.
But how do they actually play out in the story?
So the film opens with Andy being wrongly convicted.
Okay.
He's this successful banker, and suddenly, boom,
Wow.
2 life sentences at Shawshank.
That's rough.
Talk about a nightmare.
Yeah.
And then we meet Red,
Okay.
who's the narrator and ends up being Andy's best friend.
Red's voice is so important in this movie.
Isn't it?
It adds this layer of wisdom and reflection.
Yeah.
He starts out so cynical, but you can feel his perspective changing
Right.
as he watches Andy.
He's like the audience in a way. At first he thinks Andy's optimism is naive,
Yeah.
but over time he sees that Andy's hope is more than just being better. It's how he resists,
Right.
how he keeps his humanity in a place that tries to destroy it.
And the film doesn't shy away from showing us how brutal that place is.
No, it doesn't.
The violence, the corruption, the hopelessness.
It would be so easy to give up on that.
Yeah.
Andy doesn't.
He finds ways to make his life meaningful within those limits.
This is where his resourcefulness and intelligence come in. He transforms the prison library, he tutors young inmates, he even gets involved in these complex financial schemes, which end up catching the warden's attention.
That's interesting.
What's fascinating is he uses the system that's oppressing him
Yeah.
to his own advantage.
It's like he's playing this long game,
It is.
biding his time, working on multiple levels,
Mhm.
never giving up on the idea that things will change.
And it's not just about escaping himself.
Right.
He's always trying to make things better for the people around him.
Exactly.
He becomes this force for change, a source of hope.
Yeah.
Not just for himself, but for the others too.
Ah.
He teaches Red to read,
Oh, right.
helps Tommy get his GED,
Yeah.
and just inspires a sense of possibility in a place where it seems like there is none.
Wow.
That ripple effect is really powerful.
It's like he's showing them that even in the worst situations,
Yeah.
there's still room for growth, for connection, for hope.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
It is. And that's what makes the turning point so tough, you know?
Yeah.
Tommy, the young guy Andy's been helping, he reveals some information that could actually prove Andy's innocent.
So finally, a chance for justice.
You'd think, right?
Yeah.
But it's not that simple.
Of course not.
The warden, he's afraid of losing his, star accountant.
Right.
So he has Tommy killed.
Oh, wow, that's awful.
It's heartbreaking, and it really forces Andy to face reality.
It's like that hope of being set free legally is just gone.
Just like that.
Snapped away.
Yeah, and this changes Andy's hope. It's not about relying on the system anymore.
He can't trust that.
Right, he has to take control himself.
Wow.
The escape plan, which he's been working on all these years, it goes from a possibility to, the only way out.
And this is where the film really shows us that pressure and time idea.
Exactly.
We see all those years of planning, all the tiny steps Andy's taken, leading to this crazy escape.
The analysis calls it a testament to his belief in his own freedom.
Powerful.
He never gives up, even when all hope seems lost.
And the escape itself, crawling through that sewage pipe,
I know.
it's claustrophobic just watching it.
Yeah.
But you can't help but root for him.
Every step of the way.
And then he comes out into the rain,
Yo!
a free man.
That image is so powerful.
It is pure cinematic catharsis.
The rain washing away everything bad.
Yeah, literally and symbolically.
And a rebirth.
Exactly. The analysis actually uses that word rebirth.
It's a perfect metaphor.
Speaking of powerful moments,
Yeah.
the film got so much praise.
It did.
And people still love it all these years later.
It's true. Why do you think that is?
I think it's a lot of things.
Yeah.
The acting is incredible.
Oh, absolutely. Tim Robbins is perfect as Andy.
He really embodies that quiet strength.
Yeah. And Morgan Freeman as Red.
Oh my God.
He brings so much warmth and depth.
Their friendship is just amazing.
Isn't it?
One of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah. It really shows the power of connection.
Right.
Even in a place like that.
Yeah.
They help each other grow and find redemption.
And the cinematography.
Oh,
Roger Deakins is a genius.
He made a prison look beautiful.
Right.
The analysis talks about how he captures the reality of prison, but also finds these moments of beauty.
Like that escape scene.
Yes! The way he uses light and shadow, it's just masterful.
And the music. Thomas Newman's score.
So haunting and cool.
Especially in that scene with the Mozart opera.
Now.
It's like the music takes over the whole prison.
Yeah, everyone feels it.
It creates this shared experience of hope and beauty.
It's so moving.
Okay, so we talked about the amazing acting, the cinematography, the music.
The Realm is a masterpiece.
But the analysis also mentions some criticisms,
Oh.
which I think is important.
Yeah, even a movie this loved,
Yeah.
there are going to be people who don't like it.
So what are some of the criticisms?
Well, some people say the story's too predictable.
Like a typical good versus evil thing.
Exactly. But I think the emotion makes it stand out.
Yeah.
Even if we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The journey is so well done. The
Right.
acting is so good.
We still care.
We're invested.
It's like, we know the good guy will probably win, but we still want to see how he does it.
Exactly. Another critique is about Andy himself.
Oh, okay.
Some people think he's too perfect.
Too good to be true.
Yeah, like a saint.
He does seem almost superhuman sometimes.
You're right.
Like he's not affected by the prison at all.
And some people say that makes him hard to relate to.
I can see that.
But I think it's okay to have characters who represent hope.
Oh,
They can inspire us even if they're not flawed.
so we don't always have to see ourselves in the characters.
Not always. Sometimes we need to be inspired by something bigger than us.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And Shawshank is a story about hope.
It is. Andy represents that hope.
Yeah, the idea that even in the worst places, the human spirit can survive.
Now, another critique is that the film ignores the reality of prison.
Oh.
Like it's too romanticized.
So it's not really showing how hard it is to overcome those obstacles.
That's a good point. The film focuses on the positive.
The hope and the resilience.
Right. It doesn't ignore the violence and corruption.
But it still ends on a hopeful note.
And some people might find that unrealistic.
So it's not a documentary about prison
No, it's a fictional story.
that uses the setting to talk about bigger ideas.
Exactly. And while it's important to acknowledge the real suffering in prisons, I think it's good to have stories that remind us about hope.
Yeah, hope even in the darkest places.
That's what resonates with people.
It reminds us that even when things are bad,
Yeah.
we can still choose hope.
Well said.
Before we move on, I want to talk about one of the most famous lines from the movie.
Oh, which one?
The analysis mentions it too. Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.
Ah, yes. That line sums up the whole movie.
It does.
It reminds us that hope can help us, even when we feel despair.
And it's not just about this movie.
Right, it's about life.
It's like, no matter how bad things get, there's always that little bit of hope.
That can keep us going.
It might be small, but it's powerful.
And that's what makes this film so timeless.
Right. It shows us that hope is a choice.
And it's a choice worth taking.
Yeah, it really is. And that's what I find so interesting about this. We're not just talking about a movie.
Right.
We're talking about like these big ideas that you can apply to life.
Exactly. The Shawshank Redemption gives us a way to think about our own struggles, our own hopes. It reminds us that even when things seem impossible, we can still have hope and be resilient.
It's easy to get caught up in everyday stuff,
Right.
to feel overwhelmed by challenges.
Totally.
But this film, it encourages us to hold on to that little bit of hope, to never give up on the things that matter.
It also makes us think about what helps us through tough times,
Yeah.
what gives us strength, what keeps us going.
For Andy, it was music, his friendship with Red,
Right.
and his belief that he'd be free one day.
That he'd get out of that prison.
What are those things for you? What keeps you going?
That's a good question for all of us to think about.
It is. What do we hold on to for hope?
What are we working towards, even if it seems impossible?
And remember, hope isn't just wishing for things.
Right.
It's about taking action,
Okay.
making those small steps every day to get to a better future.
Like Andy with his tunnel.
Yes, chipping away at it bit by bit.
It shows that even small things can make a difference.
As long as we keep going and don't give up on our goals.
Absolutely. Okay, before we finish this deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with one last thought.
Okay.
Something to think about based on what we've talked about today.
I like it.
Imagine you're Andy. You're stuck in prison for something you didn't do.
Wow.
What would you hold on to for hope?
That's a tough one.
What dream would be worth fighting for, even if it took years to achieve? That's a powerful question to think about.
It really makes you think about the importance of hope.
Yeah, in our own lives.
I hope this deep dive has given you a new way to look at The Shawshank Redemption,
Me too.
and maybe even inspired you to think about your own hope and resilience.
It's a great movie.
If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out.
You won't regret it.
You might be surprised how much it speaks to you.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning,
Keep the conversation going.
and never lose hope.